Hello, here we are.
We're here.
You might be a little quiet, but that's for me to fix, not you.
Oh, really?
Maybe not. You were leaned back and
Was a little.
lightly singing.
Ah,
That's better.
good. Improved.
All right.
Improved. We're live. We're live.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. We had to cancel the other one, right? The late September one.
Yeah, I can't remember why. It feels like it's been a long time.
Yes, it has. We got Lydia. We got Stephanie. Hi, Lydia. Hi, Stephanie. Bobby, I have a question for you.
Oh, yes. Okay. Please ask me a question.
So I'm sighing because obviously this is like, it's not loaded for you, but it's kind of loaded for me.
Okay.
If you were just seeing me for the first time, just wandering around,
Oh, boy.
how old do you think you would clock me at?
That's hard to answer because I know you. You know what I mean? Like,
Right? Like, it's hard to pull yourself away from that. But if you could objectively think, like, and maybe it's fair to say you wouldn't know, because some people don't really think, like, that's a 25-year-old and that
Yeah.
person is 60. Like, people don't always think that way. But, like,
I am bad at that, but
Yeah.
but if I'm to try to be as objective as possible, I don't know. I think you look your age, actually. I think you late 30s, early 40s, like,
see, that's what I think too.
yeah.
I am 40. I feel like I look 40. But over and over, and this is not a new thing, this, like, in the last few years, as I've entered my late 30s, people have assumed that I am much older than I am.
Oh,
And I mean, like, 15 years older.
What?
Yes!
Okay, so
People will be like, oh, hey, do you remember that show from the 80s? I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't remember anything from the 80s.
That's
like,
really funny.
The only memories I have from the 80s I told you about last week because they're my first memories.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm yelling now. I just feel annoyed, and I kept saying to myself, it doesn't bother me. People think I look old. It doesn't bother me. But I was lying, Bobby. It bothers me.
I was about to say, well, let's test whether it bothers you or not, because I have the opposite problem. Everybody thinks I'm like,
well, that doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
totally. I can totally see that, people thinking you're like 25.
Everybody, when they hear that I was just talking to some people online recently, talking about I'm training for that marathon. And I was just, talking to them about struggles with that or something. And there was someone who was like, oh, I thought about running a marathon. I wanted to do one, before when I turned 40, but that was, or as I was getting close to 40. So that was a few years ago, but, blah, blah, blah. And we were talking about, like, difficulty with knees and all the things you have to do. And they were like, this person said, but I'm too old now. And I was like, well, I'm going to be running this marathon. I'll be 42. And everyone in the chat was called me a liar. They said that they thought I was like 10 years younger than that. But I get that. I get that a lot. And I've always say, like you, that I don't really care. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that I always like it when people think that I'm 10 years younger.
Like, right? You really want to be, you don't want to be vain. You don't want it to bother you. You want, but, like, I feel like I don't care if people think I'm 40, because I am.
No, yeah, right.
That's great. Awesome. Yeah, I am. There you go. Done. You did it. And I really do think I look my age, but I don't know. Like somebody a couple months ago was like, oh, when I told them what, like, year of the zodiac, Chinese zodiac I was, they're like, oh, were you born in 1972? And I'm like, what? No, I was not. No. And then today somebody was like, oh, that they didn't remember this. They didn't know that this, but I bet you will. do you remember, and then says a name that I completely forget because I don't remember. I don't even remember things from the 90s or like the early 2000s. I don't
Yeah.
know any pop culture from that time anyway, but it was like nothing I'd ever heard of. And then this other person he was referring to was like, actually I'm older than her. And I was like, ah.
That's so funny.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but for some reason people think I'm old.
So I also, here's another aspect of it. I only see you in certain context, and when we're in person, in particular, in certain contexts, do you maybe dress older than like, is it maybe the way you're dressing makes you look older to them, maybe?
I guess this has primarily happened at work, and I do dress professionally at work.
Sure. It's possible
So,
that
maybe.
that the way you're dressing makes you. I'm trying to be careful, but you just said you don't care. And anyway. I'm trying to.
No.
I'm trying to
I think
avoid
you're 100%
sounding like.
right.
I'm trying to avoid sounding like maybe you look old at work.
Maybe you're dressing like a senior citizen, and I like. I don't think my look is all that like. I don't think it's all that dated, but then also like I have gray hair and
Sure.
and
Yeah. Well, and that probably contributes to it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, it can't help.
Whereas I dress like I'm still in my 20s.
You do kind of dress like a university student.
Yeah.
Well, a university student
from the aughts, yeah. But yeah, I still dress that way. So maybe that contributes to me looking younger. I don't know.
Okay, well, it's a mystery. Apparently, it's my maybe it's people have said in the past, because I've always kind of gotten that a little bit, even when I was quite young.
Oh yeah.
It's because you're so confident. You're so confident. But like, what kind of like high octane radioactive level of confidence is making me appear to be 55? That is confidence at next level. I need to write a book on confidence if that's what it is, because
and what's are 55-year-olds more confident than 40-year-olds? Is that a thing? I don't know.
That's the thing too. Like like at this point, I don't think confidence is it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Oh, Lydia says my wiseness shines. Oh, thank you.
Is that the
old soul?
Is that the noun? Wiseness?
Wisdom, perhaps?
Of course, that's what it is. Wisdom. See, you are wise. You're very smart.
I have always said that I felt like I was 40 in my soul since I turned 25.
Yeah.
So like now I kind of was like, well, now it matches, but apparently I was wrong. I didn't feel 40. I felt 15 years older than myself.
My middle school teacher, one of my middle school teachers always used to tell me that I was born a generation too late because I was like into a bunch of stuff from I guess her generation, like music and television shows and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes you do feel a little out of sync with your people. I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah. I don't know. And now I try to. So I struggle sometimes with should I have children who are, inherently part of youth culture, and I wonder sometimes I think we've talked about this before, should I try to stay in tune with the pop culture or their like things like slang, like and
are you struggling with this question? Is that
I'm not really struggling with it, but I think about it sometimes. I think I've come to the conclusion that I'm just just don't. I will not like it feels old and desperate to try to appear young to young people.
The thing about it is that even if you come by it honestly, for whatever reason you're immersed in youth culture and you get the lingo and you like are able to understand the meanings, once you pass like 30, it always comes off wrong.
Yeah.
Like it can't. I just remember people trying to talk to me like they were a teenager, and I, being the apparently deeply mature as a child, I was like, cringe. Like this is weird, and I don't like it. Put your hat on forward, please, and sit in that chair properly, because
a lot of like, hello my fellow kids energy.
Exactly. Hello, fellow youths.
Yeah.
Just like, you are doing that wrong.
Yeah.
It just making people look older.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time in elementary school, so it's they say a lot of things that I don't understand.
Like 6, 7.
Yeah, but that one became so in the culture so fast that I think that one just hit every generation all at once, because everyone started talking about it all at once, right?
I think the difference is kids will get more obsessed with things than adults will. Like every time my kid sees a 6 adjacent to a 7, he like freaks out.
It doesn't even have to be adjacent to a 7. You just see the 6.
Yeah, or if you say both of those words in proximity to each other, I'm like, I don't know if that, like, what exactly are you reacting to?
It's kind of like,
I guess that's me being old.
But it's also bizarre. It's kind of like activating the Manchurian Candidate. Like they just like start going like 6, 7, 6, 7.
It's funny because it's always changed through the years, right? I've been teaching kids for a really long time, and I remember when, in particular, when One Direction was really popular.
Yeah, great.
And I like.
Were they Canadian?
I don't think so.
They're not. I don't know why
British,
I'm talking about them in the past tense. They're not dead.
Yeah, they're British, because Harry Styles. He's
oh yeah, of course, duh.
So I would, I'm teaching science, so sometimes you talk about directions. So if I would say that phrase, people would like freak out. One Direction. I remember too, when the Double Rainbow video went viral.
Yeah.
That like I did rainbow demonstrations, and people would be like, all the way around. And I'd just be like,
yeah.
It got to be very predictable, and I'd try to like incorporate it in, and then it'd be something else. So
yeah. Well, that's fun. That's fun. They did that. Speaking of 6, 7, I was at soccer practice today, and they always at the end do like all the hands in. The coach picks one of the kids who did a good job that day to do like the team, like, 1, 2, 3, you go, whatever we are called, and this time, this time, without any prompting, when they did it, all the kids just yelled 6, 7.
Of course, yes.
So
of
there you go.
Course. Well, thanks for stopping by, Stephanie.
Yeah, thanks.
Stick around, but appreciate you saying hello. Hello to you too.
Yeah, and hello to everybody else that's hanging out. We're gonna do things a little bit different today, and I'm gonna say it now because we're not gonna really say it in the show. We're just gonna organize it in a way in the show to where we can do things. So we're doing the Nobel Prizes today. And there's a lot. And so in the past, what we've done is either there's always one way you can go with the Nobel Prizes. Either you can try to get lots of good detail with them. You can or you can try to go through them really quickly so they'll all fit in one episode. But we always have tried in the past to do like both, and it never works.
Yeah.
You just kind of like skip over some of the details and also have a long episode.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I did all the research for all the Nobel Prizes. So what we're going to do is actually cover them all in the detail that I have. And then in the edit, I'll just split them up and we'll do each of them probably over the next 3 episodes. And so I may actually, given that, I may, when we jump to each one, just do a quick like I'm not gonna
like a lead in,
like a short lead in, and because when we record those episodes, the future ones past this one, we can do a little bit more lead in, but I'm gonna treat it like it's gonna be in an episode by itself. So giving everybody a heads up about that.
Cool.
But yeah, are you prepared for an episode?
I am indeed. Shall we kick it off?
I think we shall.
Let's do it. Sorry, I yawned. Suddenly just started. Ugh. Ahem. Not conducive to podcasting.
Do we have another live show on June 5th? Is that the next one?
No, that's weird.
Just saw that in the notes. Also another thing you guys should be prepared for is Maura coughing a lot.
Sorry, folks. still that drip. We don't have any other recordings scheduled.
All right, then we won't say anything about that.
And after next week, so we're behind. We are behind. Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Trying to remind myself. Alt-Shift-5? Yeah, strike through. Alt-Shift-5. That didn't do anything, but my keyboard's on.
You could just delete it also.
I like strike throughing. There you go.
Oh, nice work.
There's something. It turns your document into like a living document.
Like that was there and now it's not, but you know it was there.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey everyone, it's October 27th, 2025, and you're listening to All Around Science. My name is Maura Armstrong.
And I'm Bobby Frankenberger, and we are 2 huge fans of science here to get you caught up on what's going on in the world of science and just generally geek out about science stuff. How are you doing, Maura?
Oh, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. Today, the kids went to the dentist and got
lots of dentist
a big thumbs
news
up.
lately.
Yeah. I guess we kind of clustered them all together.
Yeah. Do your kids go at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
It's just makes life easier.
One visit to both of the kids in one visit. That's just the way to do it. Yeah.
Bing, bang, boom.
All right.
Exactly.
So how'd it go?
Yep. Clean bill of teeth. They're all cavity free.
A bill of teeth. That's what they call it.
That sounds horrifying. And everything is looking good. Teeth are coming in as needed. We've lost a couple, so it's very adorable. She's got 2 missing lower teeth.
Aww.
So, like most dentists, my dentist has a prize bin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Guess what Maeve got from this prize bin today?
A Frozen sticker.
That is a good guess, and that would have been a delightful prize. I would have been very happy with that prize. But no, for some reason, in this bin, they probably purchase on Amazon and get like 100 unbelievably cheap plastic toys. But they left this one in there. She got a slide whistle.
Oh my gosh. It was better than my second guess was going to be a corpse finger. But a slide whistle, that's a prize for her, but not for you.
Not for anyone else in the world. In fact, she's upstairs as we record this, so there's a chance you're gonna hear the slide whistle. Oh my gosh, and it's very high pitched and it is Oof, a
She
child.
loves it though, doesn't she?
Oh my gosh, she really does. But I don't like it. But you know who really doesn't like it is her brother. He is not pleased with the slide whistle.
That's really funny. Yeah.
So if you're a dentist and you're listening to this, please go look through and take out every single whistle adjacent object from that prize bin.
Yeah.
I'd rather you gave my kid candy.
Or have a separate bin that is like, do you have an ask first? Do you have siblings?
But do you have parents also? Because
No, that's true.
they don't
Do
want
you have hearing family members?
that. Yes, deaf parents, fine.
Yeah.
Everybody else, nope.
What do you think would be the annoying thing prize for people who couldn't hear? I don't know. I guess maybe
anything that like has flashing lights,
strobe lights.
right? We had this like horrible. We threw it out. It was like this Spider-Man toy on a skateboard.
Yeah.
And it flashed red and blue lights, sang a song, and spun in a circle.
Oh.
But of course, the speaker is like abysmal, and so it was like this, like, and then except like 15 octaves higher. And,
yeah.
Wow, I just wanted to throw that thing out the window.
There was speaking of gifts and toys and all that kind of stuff, there was a gift that we got from an extended family member for my older daughter Zoe when she was very, very young. It was like a little like a keyboard, like you play like a piano keyboard kind of thing. It was an electronic keyboard. But it was like a really cheap one that you would get online or something like that. It was just supposed to be a kid's toy, but you would turn on and it had a volume knob, and the volume knob had like 4 settings. Like it was not analog really. It was very like click 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 click, right?
Got it.
And the lowest setting was the loudest volume of any musical toy I've ever heard.
What happened when you went up?
It was I don't know because we were like, this will always stay on the lowest setting, and it will be like in your room with the door closed, or preferably just outside.
Yep.
Let the bother the neighbors. Yeah, exactly. But it's
different
crazy.
when it's outside. Like the sound gets more lost. It can be annoying too, but like when it's right in your house, like, oh, terrible.
Yeah. But there you go. Sound. That's a science thing.
It's true. It's true.
Trying to get us back on track, I guess. So good. You ready to you have some science news that you want to tell me about, right?
I do. So today we're talking about the Nobel Prizes.
That's right.
But I thought we'd kick it off with a nod to the Ig Nobel Prizes.
That's right. Both of them happened, and they happen right around each other. I think the Ig Nobels usually happen first, don't they?
I'm not sure.
I think they do.
But if you're not familiar, the Ig Nobel Prizes are like kind of a joke ceremony where the organizers award certain papers with an award in the category of that are similar to what the Nobel Prizes are. So they have a peace prize, and they have a prize for physiology and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's things that make you laugh and then make you think, I think is their.
Yeah, right. I think a lot of people have incorrectly, in my opinion, think that the Ig Nobels are supposed to be for like stupid things or dumb things or things idiot, but they're not. Like they're just, like you said, they're just weird or funny, or why would you do that? But then you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. They're very unserious and lighthearted. It's cool. It's
a celebration of science, I think.
Exactly. But the particular paper that I'm thinking of is, do you remember the butt breathing Ig Nobel Prize?
I do remember this.
Yeah. Okay, so to recap, basically, what they investigated was whether or not mammals are capable of breathing through their butts, and I do mean that literally.
Like actually getting oxygen
Yeah,
into their bloodstreams.
through their rectum,
Yeah.
really,
Right.
is what they were doing. Um, because if you have lungs that are non-functional, that's not great.
Right.
That's a problem. And we do have treatments that will push air into your lungs, but that actually can cause damage if you have a
Right.
lung machine that's breathing for you. First of all, it can force your lungs open a little too much, and it can cause like you're not going to adjust your breathing appropriately. If you breathe in too much, and it also like your muscles get very weak, your breathing muscles. That can be a problem later on.
Right.
Um, but there's also like they don't always work because sometimes you have things going on at a small level, like your alveoli are just not letting oxygen exchange, and that was a big problem, especially in early COVID, because some people's lungs were getting so inflamed that they couldn't properly exchange
Right.
oxygen.
Right.
And if you don't have enough oxygen, you die.
That's famously
Turns
so.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something. There are some creatures that can do this, that can breathe through their butts. Sea cucumbers are a prime example, but we were not able to confirm it in mammals until this paper did highlight that it was possible. Basically, they thought, well, if you're a mammal and you need to breathe, where's a spot in your body that's highly vascular, has a lot of blood vessels?
Right.
Your rectum. Yeah, I guess like your head also, a couple of other places, but really the most accessible and probably the best option would be the rectum. And so they tested it on a couple of different mammals by they had this liquid called conjugated perfluorocarbon that is really good at dissolving oxygen, and then they put that liquid into the large intestines of these animals.
Right.
And it worked. They were able to see that oxygen levels of these animals were increasing. So this is very promising for people who are having trouble exchanging air for whatever reason.
Right.
And now the news is that researchers in Japan have tried it out on a small group of human participants. So they took 27 men.
Okay.
And they gave them the treatment, which basically is a conjugated perfluorocarbon enema.
Yeah, right.
They had them like lie down. They started with 25 milliliters and got up to 1,500 milliliters. So a liter and a half.
Oh my God. Whoa.
Yeah. So they were lying down, they were all comfy, they had a tube up their butt, and a liter and a half of fluid going in. And so this was over the extent of an hour. What they wanted to see is, can they tolerate it? They weren't looking at whether the gas was being exchanged, but if you have a treatment that's extremely uncomfortable or difficult or whatever, it's not going to work. You're not going to be able to use it.
Right.
And so they wanted to see, if we do this, and they were healthy volunteers, will it allow, like, is it possible to ask someone to do this? Tolerance is the term. They wanted to see how well the treatment was tolerated. And out of those 27 men, 20 of them were successful.
They made it to the end.
They made it. They held
1,500.
that liter and a half of fluid in their butts for an hour.
Wow.
So not a bad success rate, really.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, you know what? That does sound hard.
Yeah.
I think too, like, if you're not going to be in a great state, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to be in a rough setup if you need this. If your lungs aren't working. So it can't be something where you have to constantly think about how you're holding it in, you know?
Yeah, and I'm presuming that these people that were being tested were all healthy individuals. So that, I mean, that's, yeah, if you find that not very many of these healthy people could do it, then there's probably not much of a chance that
Yeah.
your people who need it will be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're going to have probably lower tolerance due to the fact that, you know, they're dying or something.
Right. Like this is usually a pretty extreme situation.
Mhm.
But 20 of them managed, and the only real side effect that popped up was abdominal bloating. No big surprise
Yeah,
there.
that makes sense.
So the next step in this, this is just sort of a pilot, just see how it goes. The next step is to figure out, is the gas exchange effective in humans? Can
Right.
we get oxygen into the blood through the butt for humans as we were able to with other mammals? Also, would be great if you could, test it on women.
Yeah, well,
That'd be
that would
great.
be a really good idea. I don't know why they
Yeah,
only did it
maybe.
on men, but
Well,
sure.
men are the standard.
Yeah.
So,
It
as
is
we've
really
discovered.
hard to ask women to do things. I do understand that that's true. So.
Well, we'll see if these scientists are up for that task. But next step, butt breathing. So thank you to the Ig Nobel Prize winning paper that made that possible. Can we just pause for a moment and look at the chat?
Yeah.
Lydia, ice water enemas?
Ew.
What? Like to cool you down from the inside?
I
That's
mean,
bananas.
I guess that would work.
I mean, yeah, but what an awful feeling. And couldn't you like put ice on your skin or something? Like that's the place where all the heat radiates out of. That's wild.
I
Ice
j-
water
I just wa- I just watched this Charlie Sheen documentary that was on I think it was on Netflix, maybe it was on
Okay.
Hulu, but it's a autobiographical documentary. He just recently wrote a book, and then in conjunction with that, he did a documentary. And if you know anything about Charlie Sheen, he has a pretty wild life.
I have heard he's
But
known for his lack of restraint.
he told a story about, I can't remember which movie it was, but he was doing a lot of really like intense dramatic movies when he was younger, and when he was getting into movies, and it was a movie that I've heard of before, and he's in a scene that is pretty popular that he was doing, and it was at a time when he was kind of he was going through a phase where he was heavy into drugs. And so he was on set one day doing this pretty important scene for the movie, and he could not, like, they're in the middle of filming the scene, and he could not hold it together. He was like falling asleep in the middle of he was just like, it was just like, because he's like on drugs, right? Like he's just like, there's nothing he could do. And so I can't remember if it was somebody had told him to do this or if he just came up with the idea on his own, but he went into like his dressing room and he put some ice cubes up his butt. And he was like, because he was like, I have got to get through this scene.
Wow.
I have got to do
gosh.
it. So he did it, and then he finished the scene. And so now I wish I could remember the name of the movie and the scene and everything, because now he said, like, if you go and watch that movie and you see that scene, like, I'm doing that, you're watching a person with ice cubes in their butthole.
That is so funny.
He was like, that was the
my
only
gosh.
way I could get through that scene. It's a hilarious story.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
What would even make you think of that? Like, I would
I don't know.
never be like, what if I put ice cubes up my butt? Wow.
I don't know.
That's wild. People are wild.
Yeah. People are wild. That is true. All right. You ready?
All right. I am ready. Let's do this.
We're going to get started, and we're going to go, we'll take a we'll take a quick breather and to chat like we just did between each one of these, but not too long because we don't want to be here all night. All right. More, of course, as you just mentioned, with the Ig Nobel prizes you were just talking about. We're talking about the Nobel prizes tonight or today. I guess we're recording this at night, and so we're going to be talking about the Nobel prizes for 2025. And I love doing the Nobel prizes. I almost missed them this year. Did you?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're always really on top of this.
Ever since I stopped doing Daily Science Brief, I think I had this. I've had the hardest time keeping up with science news. I have been doing it, but I just haven't been following it as closely, I think. And
Burnt out a
also,
little?
yeah, but I'm coming back to it. Like it's not like in a bad way or anything. Like it's just like it's almost like I was like I need a break, you know.
Yeah.
But so some things missed me, and also I've been really really busy lately. But it's here. The Nobel Prizes happened. And we've got to talk about it because this is every year. This is the big science news, right?
Yeah, this is your jam. You always do this, and I'm like, oh yeah. So
Yeah.
thanks for always taking that on. I appreciate it.
I love reading about them because one of the great things about the Nobel Prizes is that, and the official website that you can get all this information does a great job of breaking down the Nobel Prizes and showing you. So like when you read the what they're being awarded for, it usually just doesn't make, it's like gobbledygook. It doesn't make any sense. You're like,
totally.
and you'll hear that in a second.
Very technical.
Yeah, and you're just like, what is this? It doesn't make any sense. And then increasingly, it's all like very jargony, and because it's all about like quantum this and genes that, and but when you dig into it, without fail, every year when you dig into it, you realize, oh, there's a really cool story here, and this is actually really important. And of course it is, because they're being awarded the Nobel Prize. That's why they're being awarded the prize, right?
Yeah.
Because of their contributions to science and how important it was. So that's why I love doing it every year. This year, we're going to do it a little bit differently in that we're not going to cover all three prizes in one episode. We're going to cover all three prizes over the next 3 episodes. So we're going to do one today. We're going to do the Nobel Prize in Physics today. And then next week, we will do the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. And then the week after that, we'll do Physiology and Medicine, just to give you an outlook on the ones that are coming, so that we can really talk about and absorb what.
Yeah, it's worth. It's good to give it its due.
Yeah, exactly.
Because these are really important scientific concepts. We need to spend some time on them to really understand them, because they are generally pretty complex and cutting edge. So
yeah, and in order to understand a lot of these prizes, especially in things like physics, which you'll see in a minute, a lot of times there's a lot of background you kind of have to lay, or some foundation you have to lay, in order to really appreciate what it is that the prize is for. So why don't we just get into the Nobel Prize for Physics in 2025? So the Nobel Prize in Physics this year was awarded to 3 recipients. It's always a team of people nowadays, because that's how science is done, really.
It's true.
Many people are contributing to these discoveries. And the recipients for the Nobel Prize in Physics are John Clark, Michael H. Dvorak, and John M. Martinez. And they were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for the discovery of macroscopic quantum mechanical tunneling and energy quantization in an electric circuit.
Of course.
Yeah, so gobbledygook.
Naturally.
Right. So the idea here is what they discovered was that quantum mechanical properties can actually be seen at a macroscopic level. And that some quantum systems can be treated like a single quantum mechanical unit. Now, I know, again, that doesn't make a lot of sense. You have to know a lot
No.
of, so we're going to dig into it a little bit. But the idea here is that quantum being very, very small, the work that these scientists did showed us that there are many quantum mechanical properties that can be seen at macroscopic, larger scales than the quantum scale, and that's very, very interesting, and it's very, very useful to know that. So we have to know a little bit about quantum stuff,
Right.
in order to understand what's happening here. So in particular, we have to know about quantum tunneling. Have you ever heard of quantum tunneling before?
No, I haven't. What is that?
So quantum tunneling, so it's a phenomenon where quantum objects, which when we say quantum objects, we're talking about very, very small particles like electrons, right? Or quarks or something, fundamental particles, right?
Right.
But electrons are very commonly used ones because electrons are, a lot of people know what they are, they're familiar with them, and they are quantum objects. And quantum tunneling is a phenomenon where these quantum objects, like electrons, can pass through a barrier. It's as simple as that. Like, imagine a basketball, you're bouncing it off the wall, but typically it'll bounce off the wall. Typically, it always bounces off the wall and bounces back at you. But if the basketball instead passed through the wall instead of bouncing off, because also quantum objects and fundamental particles, they do bounce off of things as well. But sometimes quantum particles will pass through a barrier instead of bouncing off of it, and that's quantum tunneling.
Okay. Right.
It doesn't happen every time.
Right.
Excuse me. But over many, many particles, it can happen at a predictable rate, that's the story with quantum stuff, right? Like, it's always, you can calculate how likely some quantum event is to happen, right?
Yeah, and it's got this tiny probability every 1 in a trillion times it does this other thing, and yeah.
Right. So the idea is that you have electrons or other things that can tunnel through a barrier, and it doesn't happen every time, but sometimes it does, and you can calculate how often it will happen. Right. Just the quantum tunneling we've known about for a long time. It was I think since probably the 20s we've been aware that quantum tunneling happens. Okay. The discovery of quantum tunneling led to a deeper, more robust understanding of decay rate in molecule, like elements, how they decay and have a half-life,
Oh, okay.
So like radioactive materials will decay into other materials. And the reason is there are two types of decay. There's beta decay, which is the other kind, but then alpha decay happens because of quantum tunneling, and it's because you don't just have these particles in the nucleus of an atom. The nucleus of an atom determines basically what the element is, what the atom is. Right. So
how many protons you got.
Right, and they're not all on the surface though. They're in a ball. So some of them are in the center of that nucleus. And whenever something happens to change, say, a neutron into something else, the quantum particles that breaks up into, the smaller constituents that neutron might break up into, can't easily get out of the nucleus because there's a bunch of other particles surrounding it, right? Well, through alpha decay, it can leave the nucleus through quantum tunneling, right? It can that's how it leaves. I see. It can pass through the outer wall of the nucleus of an atom. So that's what quantum tunneling has helped us better understand. There's some other things we need to know about quantum, and that is this thing called superconductors and Cooper pairs. Okay. So electrons are just always moving around randomly in materials, right? But if you can get electrons, if you can get them to tend toward moving in a particular direction, then that creates an electrical current, right?
Okay.
Okay. So the more freely moving electrons the in what makes a material more or less conductive for electricity is how freely moving the electrons are. So if the electrons are really tightly bound and they can't move around very easily, then it's not going to be a very conductive material. If the you need the electrons to be able to move very, very freely, and that's why metallic objects tend to be more conductive. Is because if you remember your high school chemistry, metals are often described as having an electron sea, right? Which means the electrons in a metal can sort of be freely exchanged between all the different atoms, right?
They're sort of all sharing each other's electrons.
Right, and that, but
kind of the impression I always got.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why metals are so good at conducting electricity, is because these electrons can just all start moving in the same direction and create a current, right? Moving in that direction. Now, superconductors, what makes them superconductors is that they allow electrons to get really organized and flow between them all without any resistance at all. Literally without any resistance at all.
Excuse me. How many more weeks? At least 3 after this. So they have no resistance because they are not bumping into molecules.
Well, so there's different reasons, and that's beyond sort of the scope of what I'm going to be talking about. But only certain materials can be superconductors, and they have to be under the very particular conditions, right?
Okay.
Primarily, usually they have to be very, very cold, and that is beyond the scope of my knowledge and beyond the scope of what we're talking about. But just know that what makes them a superconductor is that these electrons can organize really, really well and can flow without any resistance at all. And in particular, electrons in a superconductor, most of them, what they do is they pair up with each other. That's part of how they get organized, and they pair up into what are called Cooper pairs.
Okay.
And scientists realized, and now we're getting back on track we're starting to head in the direction of what this Nobel Prize was about, right? Scientists started to realize that these Cooper pairs, these pairs of electrons, retained the quantum mechanical properties of individual electrons. When they were paired up together, they would often behave as one. And how do they know that? Well, the way we describe the quantum mechanical properties of an electron or any other quantum particle is with something called a wave function. And without going into deep detail about what that is you measure things about a particle, like what its energy levels are, or where it is, or how easily it's found, or its momentum, all these different things, and we call it its wave function. And so you can measure that in individuals, and they found that when 2 electrons were paired up as Cooper pairs, they would have a similar wave function. They would behave similarly as if they were one by themselves. And maybe maybe that doesn't intuitively seem like oh, that's interesting kind of to you, but the reason that's like, oh, weird, is because you would think the more electrons you have, the less they would display these quantum properties, because on a large scale, the more of these quantum objects you have, the less the more these probabilities of weird things that they can do get smeared out, and you can't see them anymore. So when you see 2 of them paired together and they're behaving as if they're one, that's interesting. And so there were lots of things that they could learn about with electrons, and how quantum systems behaved, and they could take advantage of the fact that these electrons were paired up to learn things about quantum mechanics, all this kind of really interesting stuff. Nice. So let's get to the Nobel Prize. So you can take 2 superconducting materials and you can place them together and separate them by an insulating material that is not a superconductor. All right.
Okay.
And if you do that, this should prevent the current from going past this junction that you've created, right? So the current, remember, a superconductor lets a current pass through it very, very easily without any resistance at all. If you were to put two of them together and they were touching, you would think like, okay, they should pass this current, and maybe they do. But
Yeah.
if you put them right next to each other with like a very thin, non-conductive insulating material that is not a superconductor, then nothing should pass between the two superconducting materials.
Right.
In the past, it had been shown, though, that Cooper pairs were tunneling across this gap. All right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's where the quantum tunneling comes in, right? And so it wasn't individual electrons that were passing through. They found that Cooper pairs together were tunneling across this gap. And the way they were able to observe that is that they saw that a voltage was forming between these two superconducting materials. Right. So when the Nobel Prize team, what they wanted to do is to measure if there were any quantum mechanical properties, like a wave function that was able to be measured on a macro scale in this system of two superconducting materials separated by a non-superconducting insulator. So what they did was they measured how long it took for the system to go from a zero voltage state to a voltage state, right?
And voltage is when you have like physically, is it like a measure of how much power is going through, or?
Voltage is it's sort of like potential. It's like electrical pressure. It's the potential energy difference in an electrical system, right? And so if there's voltage, that means that there's like if there's a voltage difference, you'll see a current form usually because you have pressure difference in the motion of these electrons, right? And so they created a system with this superconducting state separated by this non-conductive non-superconductor, and they wanted to see if they could see a voltage move from one part to another, and how long it took for that voltage state to change. And this is how long it takes for it to change is similar to or it's equated to the half-life of a quantum mechanical object, right? Or a quantum mechanical system. So they were able to measure that, and they were able to show that these macro scale objects do have a half-life. In fact, when they take the wave functions of these whole systems, they look like the half-life of a whole quantum mechanical system. It's even more than that, though. They were able to measure what are called quantized energy states on a macro scale. So electrons do not have a smooth function of energy states. When you add energy to an electron, it does not smoothly go to higher energy states, right? It has it's sort of a stepwise function. You add energy to an electron, and then it bumps up to another energy level after it gets a certain amount of energy. It's like it's absorbing it, and then once it gets enough, it pops up to another energy level. It's
sort of like how a little baby moves their arm. They have to they jerk it around in like sort of weird like stages.
Yeah.
That's what I picture.
Yeah. We've talked about on the show before electron shells, right? How around an atom, the more electrons that an atom has, they exist in areas called shells around the atom. Yeah, that's why these electron shells exist, is because they have these quantized energy states. They can't smoothly exist in any energy state. There's only certain ones that they can. So they found in this system of superconducting materials that, again, were separated the way that they're separated, they found that if they did this interesting thing where they would introduce microwaves into this whole system, which adds energy into the system, right?
Okay.
And they added microwaves at varying wavelengths, varying energy levels, and they found that the microwaves would get absorbed into the system, but at certain amounts of wavelength absorption, the system would jump to a new energy state, a new voltage level, measured through this half-life voltage appearance, right? So,
Okay.
as they were adding more energy, the voltage half-life of the system would stay the same. It'd be fine. It'd be measured the way it is. But after they added enough microwave energy to it, suddenly the half-life of this system would jump up to a new level. And then it would stay there for a while, and then they added more and more, and then the half-life would change again. But it wouldn't be a smooth change. It would jump up, and they observed that this is exactly like electrons having quantized energy states. So that's what their observation that these macro scale systems that they created, superconductors that they've just created and put onto a computer chip, they had these quantum properties. And this is not just like a oh, neat. This had like actual applications in real world. So it led to advances in quantum computing. It led to the ability of us to be able to create quantum chips. These chips. So physicists are now able to build these superconducting quantum systems on a macro scale on individual chips, and it allows them to treat those macro scale chips as quantum objects, so that they can create quantum computers. So
that's so cool. I didn't realize that's how they were made.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, really neat. And so all thanks to the hard work of John Clark, Michael Dvorak, and John Martinez. So congratulations to them for winning the Nobel Prize in Physics. All right.
I think we lost our audience.
We've got people here. Says we do.
I don't see any in my list, but I could be wrong.
Maybe not.
I'm really sorry. You are not boring. I got 3 hours of sleep.
Oh, I know I'm not boring. I'm just
You don't have to tell me.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm actually really tired too. I've been running and not going to bed earlier, so.
Well, if you want, we could record this another time.
No, that's not what I'm saying. If you want to, we certainly can, but that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, all good. I think I can push through at least for one more.
Yeah, we've got
I'll let you know how I'm feeling.
Yeah, let me know. Let's do the chemistry one.
Chemistry.
Maura, we are going to talk about the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Last week we talked about physics, and it was fun. So
it was groundbreaking, as you might expect.
Yeah, with the Nobel Prizes. Yeah, exactly. And it's physics is only one of the prizes, but we're going to be talking about chemistry now. And so why don't we just get right into it?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so the Nobel Prize in Chemistry this year in 2025 was awarded to Susumu Kitagawa, Richard Robson, and Omar M. Yagi. And they were awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the development of metal organic frameworks. Now you might be wondering,
metal organic frameworks.
What are metal organic frameworks, and why do I care about them?
Well, I do know that typically when you say an organic thing, it's referring to non-metals, specifically something with some carbon in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So carbon is definitely involved, but you're right. Usually metal is not involved.
Yeah. So,
So yeah.
okay, I at least have a little bit of background. I
Yeah.
understand the sort of gist of the title, whereas
Yeah.
the last one, the physics one, I don't think I even understood every word in the title.
So in summary, what they were awarded this for was what they did was they created an architecture for organizing and constructing molecular structures called metal organic frameworks in such a way as to be able to create custom materials that have large air gaps between all the molecules that allow for other molecules to pass through and for electricity to be conducted and all that kind of stuff, which actually has a lot of really fascinating and really useful applications.
Can I ask, how do you put air gaps between molecules, or is this just like a physical space? Because aren't isn't air also made of molecules?
Well, yeah, but you have to create a framework that creates gaps large enough for those other
Got it.
air molecules to be able to pass through, and that's what they did.
Wild.
Yeah. So, as with any Nobel Prize, there's a lot of background work that went into this. And this one's really fun because it starts with Richard Robson, one of the recipients, all the way back in 1974 when Robson was teaching chemistry at a university in Australia earlier in their career. And so when you're teaching chemistry, you often want to teach chemistry. You got these molecular models that people use with the little balls and sticks.
Yeah, yeah.
So Robson wanted to have a set of those and to be able to help teach chemistry. And so he went to the university workshop to ask them to help make them because they didn't have Amazon back then where you could easily just order them. And so
You had to know a guy.
yeah, so we went there and asked them to make these wooden sticks, wooden dowels with balls that could be put on the end of them in different ways to make molecular models. But in chemistry, as you might know, you have to have very specific specifications for how these are going to be done, right? The rod lengths, the widths, but in particular the angles for the holes around the balls, right? Because and you're saying, yeah, like you probably
I remember
already
seeing them, it like the physical models, and also like knowing how atoms bond with each other. They kind of push their bonds sort of equally apart from each other because they're all like electron bonds, right? So they repel each other.
Exactly. So the based on the number of bonds and how many electrons are available around a particular atom in a molecule, these bonds, which are represented by the rods in these or the dowels in these models, they arrange themselves in particular angles to each other. Very specific angles. And so he gets all that, and yes, very predictable. He gets all that done. Has the workshop at the university make these for him, and he's putting them together, playing with models and everything. And he realizes while he's playing with them and putting things together that the molecular structures seem to form very naturally, simply by virtue of the angles of the bonds. Like he realized you don't have to try very hard to make if you have the number of carbons and oxygens and hydrogens that you need, and you connect the atoms together in the order that they're supposed to be connected together, they kind of naturally form the structure that they're supposed to form. Right? And it's because of the angles of these bonds and all of that. So and so he realized that what that kind of means is that the properties of these atoms, the charges, the bond numbers, and all that sort of stuff, they cause the molecules to naturally form their structure. And he realized that molecules themselves had similar properties on a macro scale, on a larger scale. Because if you look at a whole molecule will often have zones of areas of different charge on them.
Yeah.
Right? like this. And think of a simple water molecule. We often, when you're talking about water molecules, H2O, you talk about it as being a polar molecule, right? One end of it is charged in a certain way, and the other end of it is charged in a different way. So you have these zones that have stronger and weaker charges, that have positive and negative charges, and so.
And this is a fundamental concept in the folding of proteins, right? Because
Precisely.
there's an idea that if you know the order of amino acids in a protein, you should then be able to predict its structure.
Right. Exactly.
Very complicated math wise, and we've only recently been able to do it well with AI, but like
right, because there are so many different things in a protein that the ways that they might fold together are very complex. But there should be a way that it naturally forms. You're exactly right. And he started to realize something similar in that whole molecules seem to want to bond with other molecules or other atoms on other molecules very naturally, right?
Okay.
And so they would form structures, macro structures, based on complementary properties on different ends of the things. And he found ways, after he realized this, he found ways to form crystalline structures that weren't tightly packed like a diamond. So when we think of a crystalline structure, we usually think of like atoms that are tightly packed, like diamond, or ice forms a very regular structure, right? Mm-hmm. But he realized that he could, theoretically anyway, you could take larger molecules that were of a very particular sort of structure and formed in a particular way, and you could create crystalline structures that had larger gaps between the constituent molecules that made up this crystalline structure, just by virtue of how they had to piece together, right?
Right.
So after he realized that, he decided, like any great chemist, that he wanted to make some. Right?
Of course.
So he created samples of these structures where the spaces between all of these larger molecules, these large gaps, he filled them with ions of different kinds, right? Ions being charged particles. And the point being that they're smaller particles. They can fit between inside these large spaces in these crystalline structures. And so what he would do is he would put this ion-filled material inside, he would submerge it inside a substance of different ions, and then observe what would happen. And he would notice that the ions would swap places, that they would flow in and out of the material. He would dunk it in there with one ion, dunk it into a material with another, and then he'd take it out, and the ions that were in the liquid or whatever it was he submerged it in would now be inside his material, and that's not what he put into it to begin with. So very, very interesting, right?
Yeah.
And so these were called because if you think about the molecules that he was latticing together into a crystalline structure, the sort of imagine like a pyramid molecule, a pyramid shaped molecule. The way he would attach them together is by adding these little metallic atoms to the points at the ends of his molecules, right? And so that's where the metallic part of these metallic organic frameworks would come in, because some of these crystalline, some of these molecules were organic molecules. And so he would use metallic endpoints that he would sort of stick on the ends, and then it would allow them to sort of stick together, and it would create these frameworks.
Nice.
Now comes another one of the Nobel Prize recipients, Kitagawa. He was interested in these metallic organic frameworks.
Okay.
And so, out of curiosity, he created a bunch of different types. Because, like I said, great chemists, they want to just play
wanna
around.
make stuff.
They want to make stuff.
Like
right.
literally make stuff.
Yeah. And so he was doing all these things, making these new materials, these new metal organic frameworks, and just trying different things and trying to research them. But he was having trouble getting funding in his lab for doing these kinds of things.
Like you do.
Yeah, well, because for the people who were trying to give the grants and stuff like that, they didn't see a lot of benefit to what he was doing, right? There already existed these other types of chemical structures called zeolites that that did similar things to what he was trying to do. These frameworks where you could allow similar properties, where they could absorb and allow flow of ions and stuff like that. It already existed, and they seemed to work better than what what he was making. So they were like, why do we want to fund this? These other things exist.
Spend our money on that.
Yeah, exactly. But Kitagawa was obsessed, so he kept working on them and found more and more materials, like gases, that could be passed through these materials. Before, it was like ions and liquids and just being submerged into these different things, but now he's getting gases to pass through them. And he finally showed that he could make metal organic frameworks, and this was the key discovery. He found that he could make them flexible. The other ones that were being made before were just very rigid, but and also very fragile. They would fall apart very easily. But he made some that were very flexible. And
so this is like flexible on a larger scale. Like if I have a large amount of it.
Yeah, like literally able to bend
okay.
and twist it and stuff like that. Like literally flexible in the way that you're thinking about. And that was a feature that was new, and that got funders interested. Okay.
Nice.
So starts to get some interest. Now the third
Things are heating up.
Yeah, the third recipient comes in, Yagi. He was looking for a way to construct new molecules, like you do. And so because the traditional way of putting molecules together and creating new things is that you heat things up, and because you just heat them up, and then
things move around,
and then more reactions happen, and that works. But what Yagi thought was, well, that creates a lot of contaminants that have to be removed somehow. It's messy, right? Lots of things get made. You're trying to make this one thing, but lots of things end up getting made.
Yeah.
And he found a way to use carbon-based organic molecules held together by metal ions, metal organic frameworks.
Okay.
He found a way to use that and be able to put them together without having to heat things up. So he would create nets of these materials. So when I say a net, I mean like a two-dimensional layer of organic molecules, like a sheet that was held together by metal ions like cobalt and stuff like that. And then he would take two layers and create a space between those layers that could hold other molecules. All right. And so he found that when they were filled with the other molecules, they were so stable that they could be heated up to temperatures of over 300 degrees Celsius and still remain stable. And that was a really, really big deal. And so all of this stuff came together to be able to create these materials that could it started with Robson, who found ways of just putting them together so that atoms, other smaller ions and atoms and smaller molecules could pass through the spaces between these crystalline structures. And then Kitagawa found a way to make materials that were flexible, and then Yagi found a way to more easily create these things in a way that allowed them to be stable in varying temperatures. Because remember, I told you before that a lot of the materials that were being made were fragile and they would fall apart and all this kind of stuff. And so now they've got these new cool materials. And so you're thinking, okay, what's the big deal? Why do we care? These things are used everywhere nowadays.
Oh, really?
They're used everywhere. It allows chemists and material scientists and industry to create custom-made filter materials. Carbon capture devices are made using this technology. Water collection from the air. I swear.
Moisture farms.
Yes, exactly. Just like Luke Skywalker was using metal organic frameworks in a galaxy far a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Indeed.
But yeah, because the water molecules can move between the spaces, right, and get trapped in there.
Yeah.
There's pharmaceutical delivery devices. The bags that you get at the grocery store that keep your fruit from ripening for longer. The plastic there is made using this technology. It traps the ethylene.
Wow.
Is that what it is? The ethylene gases.
I think so. Yeah.
That are released from ripening fruit. It traps them in the plastic in these bags, so that fruit will take longer to ripen and stuff like that. So it's used all over the place now. Thanks
that
to
is really neat.
The discovery
that is really neat.
of these guys. So yeah, congratulations to these three for getting the Nobel Prize in chemistry. So
saving that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Wait, one more.
So now we can either do the physiology and medicine one the next time, or we can do it. I think I will give you a fair warning. The physiology and medicine one is, I think, a little bit longer than the other two.
Oh, it's about immunology. That's very interesting, but I'm having trouble following you, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah.
Because I keep almost falling asleep.
Well, it's not going to matter to me because I've already got it prepped.
Yes. That's like me too.
Yeah.
It might be wise to do it another time. Because I'm not about to put an ice cube up my butt.
But now that works. So if you ever need to,
I know it's
an option
for the future. I don't want to do it, but to know that I can is helpful.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
Oh boy.
All right.
Yeah, no, I like my vision is starting to blur sometimes.
Well, editing out coughing is one thing. I'd prefer not to have to edit out snoring. So.
Oh my gosh, and I feel like this one, the physiology is always the one that I'm most excited about when it comes to these kind of things.
Well, yeah, let's get you feeling more excitable then, because this is a really interesting.
I'm already like skimming a little, and I'll try not to spoil it. Yeah, okay. I would appreciate that if we could do this a different time.
Not a problem at
then you're already all prepped to go.
It's not going to make any difference to our dear listeners because
yes, all these many listeners who showed up. The quiet one today. I wonder why.
Yeah, it happens.
It's all good.
Well, in the interest of getting you to bed or resting, you want to wrap up do you have anything for the ending here? We're keeping in mind that this one,
I guess this would be the physics one.
Yeah, this will be after physics. It doesn't necessarily have to be connected to that, but just know that the chemistry part will not be in this episode that we're closing right now. I always like to, when I do the feature, give you a chance to say something because I just spent all that time talking.
You've just been talking lots, yeah. Let me think.
If you can't think of anything, I have something completely unrelated.
Okay.
That I could mention as just a chit chat.
Nope, I got nothing good.
All right. Here we go. more I've been marathon training, remember?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
How's that going?
I thought I'd give a little marathon training update. So
Oh, do tell.
just be ready for these, people. It's December
We
of
got 14 months of
yeah,
this.
exactly. December of 2026 is when I'm doing this marathon. So it's gonna happen sometimes. But I went on I'm in the like base building phase of marathon training, trying to get my running base nice and strong. And so I've been doing I talked about before, I've been doing a lot of easy runs, which are actually surprisingly hard to run as slow as you have to run for an easy run.
Right. Yeah.
But I got to do in this base building phase my first tempo run this morning.
Yes.
And for I know that you know because you were at one time a runner. But for anybody who doesn't know, a tempo run is actually quite fast. You're running closer. It's definitely at a higher exertion level. They say it's like around a 7, maybe 6, 7, 8 on the no more than an 8 on like an exertion of 1 to 10, you know. But there's lots of different ways you can define it. But the idea is that you're running close to, if not at, this equilibrium state of using the oxygen that you're or using the ATP or using the oxygen you're
right.
But it's pretty fast is the point. It's
okay.
You don't sustain it for too long. And it felt really good. It was hard, but it was nice to run faster again.
Yeah.
And I could tell the difference.
Really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It was easier because I'll tell you, when I was just running before, just trying to get into it on my own and not having a plan yet when I first started, I was trying to run at a pace like I did today. And it was not, it was hard. It was not sustainable. Yep. I could definitely tell the difference. And I was able to keep going pretty fast. And for 3 straight miles, I was running at this tempo pace. And I realized, and I remember this from before, I realized there's a lot of physiological benefit to running at this tempo pace, right? Because it helps like get your body, it helps to all these technical things like increasing your lactate threshold and all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, listen to last week.
Yeah. But I forgot one of the great things about working in a tempo run here and there, like semi-regularly into your runs, is it boosts your confidence.
Oh yeah,
which is really important, right? Because you got to feel like you can do it.
Yeah.
Because, and I do remember that being really a big deal the first time when I was marathon training. Like there's definitely a mental training that you're going through. You have to.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You have to know that you can. I mean, you're running 26.2 miles. Like there's a lot of different mental challenges that have to be overcome.
It sounds cheesy, but literally you have to believe in yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's there's such a difference too, because like sometimes I'll be running and I'll be like, run.
Yeah.
And I'll catch myself doing that and I'll say, no, stop it. And I'll lift, like, it's weird, but I'll like lift up my head. I'll look at the horizon ahead of me. I'll fix my posture and I'll force a smile on my face, and it makes a difference.
Absolutely.
You're like, okay, you can do this. But like, it's, again, like you said, it's cheesy, but you're like, you just give yourself that push, like, you can do this, Bobby, and it makes a difference.
Yeah, that's one of the most motivating things, is succeeding at something hard.
Yeah.
And when you do it with like energy and enthusiasm, even if it's forced, you kind of start to like, the rest of you follows along. So
right.
Totally. That's
So
amazing.
that tempo run today did that. You're usually not running like for too long, like 3, 4, 5 miles. And I know I say that to people who aren't running. They're like, "What? That's not long." But
Yeah.
remember,
Not compared to what
I'm
you're gonna
working
do,
up to
yeah.
26.2.
Yeah.
You don't run it for that long, but it's good. It's like really good for you to, like you said, to succeed at something, even like that's hard. It is hard to run at that pace for 3 or 4 miles. So, but anyway, because I went running this morning, I am tired. So we're gonna close up the episode today.
Let's do it.
That's gonna be it for this episode of All Around Science. Thank you everybody for listening. If you've got questions or feedback, you can email us at contact@allaroundscience.com.
We're on socials at All Around Sci or All Around Science.
My name's Bobby.
I'm Maura. I'm so tired. Oh, I like pulled it up and everything. I was like, follow the words, Maura. Follow the words.
You could do this, Maura. You could do it.
I am Maura.
All right. I'm going to say my name's Bobby again.
Okay.
My name's Bobby.
I'm Maura.
And we'll see you next week for some more science stuff. It was very funny to me.
Oh my god. It's a good thing we didn't do that last one.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now.
Oh, like I am like swimming over here. It was literally, I fell asleep at like 1 a.m. and woke up at 4:30.
Oh my gosh, you are having a tough
when
time.
Maeve was like, whew, and somehow I've gotten through the day okay. But like it in the last like hour, just all of a sudden it was like bam, like a pie in the face, a pie of exhaustion in the face. Okay.
All right. On today's episode.
Sorry, can you start again?
Yep. On today's episode.
An update on one of last year's Ig Nobel prizes.
And we go through this year's Nobel Prize in Physics.
All that and more today on All Around Science. And then Maura has a nap.
Oh, can I tell you real fast what I did in science today with the kids?
Do, yes.
We did this sensory activity where it was an idea I came up with for yesterday we did some like boxes where they had to use like one sense to try to explore what was inside the box, right? This time I brought an object to class and broke the class up into 4 groups for the senses, all the senses but taste, because you don't do that with 4th graders. But so each of the groups would come one at a time, and so you'd have the touch group would come, and they're acting as they're all acting as the sense of touch. And so I blindfolded them, and they got to touch this object. And then I'd blindfold them and then take it out, and then they'd touch it and then see what it felt like, and then they would close it up again, and then they would write down words to describe how it felt. And then each of the groups, different senses would do the same thing, right? And so at the end, all the groups came together in the class and shared their sensory words for each of their senses, and then they would all together try to figure out what the thing was that they had. And so my thought was like, and then we talked about how that's what your brain does. Like literally your brain your senses are gathering information and delivering it to your brain, and then your brain takes all that information and then sort of synthesizes it and figures out what it is that you're experiencing in the world, right? So
That's so cool. I love that.
and they got it right. It was a pumpkin.
Yay! Good job, kids.
But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I love that. I feel
All
like
right.
there's an AI lesson in there somewhere too.
An AI lesson? How?
Right? Like you're gathering information, processing it, categorizing.
Yeah.
My thing's not uploading.
So what happened last time?
Yeah. Maybe I'll restart it. Have you watched Peacemaker?
It's on my list of shows that I need to watch.
Highly recommend.
But I keep hearing that it's really good.
It is really good. And I didn't mean to do this in this order because it's the sequel to The Suicide Squad, which I have still not seen, but I watched Superman right before it.
Mm-hmm.
The latest Superman, and I was like, oh, I'm glad I did that because now like there is a connection, and it was really cool.
Oh, cool.
Also a great movie, really good. But yeah, I recommend. Okay. That's it. That's all.
It's uploaded. You know what? Maybe I should look to make sure.
Yeah, maybe do.
In case I decide to at, what was it? 8:00 on a Sunday night, edit the show again and then not have the file.
Are we still live?
I think so. Yeah, 266. Yes, I've got it. All right. Speaking of, I'm going to say goodbye to what lurking listeners maybe we have. So, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time we have one scheduled, and we'll let you know. Bye bye.